Hello, welcome back to Jubes & Co with me, Dawn Neeson. Keeping me company till 7 o'clock tonight is the Head of Reform, UK's Department of Government Efficiency, Yusuf, and the former Labour Minister, Bill Rammell, and, of course, you out there, because you're the important ones. Lots of you getting in touch as well. Some I can't read out, to be honest with you. But, Steve, this one's to you, Bill. He goes, whenever he's getting schooled in a debate, Bill always reverts to Labour's default position. It was the Tories' fault. I mean, to be fair, Labour do that a bit.
It's technically true. You know, when we're talking about mass migration, that was where Boris opened the floodgates.
OK, and on the subject of Angela Rayner's housing and Labour's rebuilding houses, or building more houses, Robert says, why are older house owners, pensioners, so insecure regarding their home being compulsory purchased by this Labour government to be used to house illegal migrants? And there is this talk about pensioners being encouraged to downsize so they can free up the housing market so Angela Rayner can buy more houses.
Compulsory purchase of older people's homes?
It was, no, they've been encouraged. It was not compulsory purchase, it was being encouraged to downsize by the Labour government.
Under successive governments, there's been a promotion
Tories'
of downsizing.
fault. It was the Tories' fault.
No,
you almost said it was the Tories' fault again.
Yeah.
Right, any case, we'll move on, shall we? The nation has been swept by Operation Raise the Colours, a patriotic movement which has seen thousands of St George's flags and Union flags hoisted from lampposts, flown from motorway bridges and even painted onto roundabouts. So, could this be the start of an English revolution? Historian and broadcaster Rafe Helder-Manku certainly thinks so. He had this to say earlier.
Over the more recent decades, the flag has had increased importance as we've seen attacks on our identity, as we've seen attempts to elevate other cultures over the predominant English and British culture. And I'm afraid the English have had enough. You know, the English have suffered silently over the years as their identity has been traduced. They're the only inhabitants of these islands whose celebrations of being English is frowned upon.
So, yeah, I think we are possibly the only country in the entire world that has a problem with our national flag, or the English flag, and to a certain extent the Union flag as well.
Well, when you say we, so I'd agree, but when you say we, we're talking about the political establishment, the political elites. I mean, one thing Reform did shortly after May the 1st in the councils where we took control was our councils passed motions and said that the only flags that could be flown on council premises, these were English councils, were going to be the Union flag, the St George's flag, because they're English councils, the county flags and the flags for armed forces, and our monarch. And that was viewed as extremely controversial. And to this day, by the way, some of our councils are still fighting the blob about that. We have seen, it's really interesting, as people brilliantly go out and raise flags across the country, the St George's flag and the Union flag, they're being told, well, why are you so focused on flags? Flags don't matter. Well, flags don't matter. Well, people in this country are sick and tired of the fact that every other flag was flown with enormous pride, including the Pride flag, the Palestinian flag, all sorts of flags of other countries and political activists. But when it comes to the Union flag, when it comes to St George's flags, the flags of this country, that was something that was always to be looked down upon. And in fact, not just not okay, but often associated with sinister and malevolent things. I mean, that was how outrageous the situation has become. So I totally agree with it. English people, British people had quite enough.
See, you don't have a problem with it. You are a person of colour. You don't have a problem with the flag.
Of course not. Of course not.
No.
Using the internet without a VPN, a virtual private network, is a bit like taking to the road without car insurance. All it takes is one unlucky moment to cost you a lot of cash. This video's sponsor is Private Internet Access. They are the VPN to help keep you safe. Click the link in the description below to find out why over 30 million people have downloaded PIA to protect themselves online. A virtual private network is an app that hides your IP address and helps keep your data private. When you're browsing the internet at home, you give up a large amount of data to businesses, to shops, and indeed to social media giants too. Hackers have the ability to steal your personal data with ease, including sensitive information such as passwords, keystrokes, and even your personal photos. Private internet access helps protect your personal data by encrypting your internet connection to keep your data out of the hands of cyber criminals. And it's not just hackers either to be concerned about. Information can be censored too. When Canada passed their C18 bill, social media giants decided to ban news content on their platforms. But PIA can protect your ability to consume the news and content you love. Private internet access is available for Windows users, Mac OS, Android, Linux, iOS, and you can use one PIA subscription to protect an unlimited amount of devices. And we've got a huge GB News discount for you too. Click the link in this video's description and you'll get a massive 83% off PIA. That's under £2 a month, the price of a coffee, and you'll get an extra 4 months completely free on top. Also, there's a 30-day money-back guarantee too. Visit piavpn.com/GB News to start protecting yourself digitally today.
Bill, what is wrong with our flag?
There's nothing wrong with our flag, and
So why
I
are
support
people so upset when it's hanging from lampposts and motorway bridges?
Keir Starmer's made it very clear that this government supports the right of people to fly the flag. There have been a handful of local authorities who wholly wrongly, in my view, have sought to take down those flags, whilst, for example, allowing Palestinian flags to be flown.
Tower Hamlets Council for one in London.
Yeah, absolutely, and don't start me on the leader of Tower Hamlets.
Not me.
But, you know, you should be able to fly the flag. But I will acknowledge this. On the left, historically, there has been an ambivalence about the flag because people saw it as being claimed by the far right. Now, I've always argued, and this government argues, that you reclaim the flag, you don't allow it to be taken up as the badge of honour of the far right. And if people want to fly it, they should be able to do so.
Do you think Trump's got a point here? In America today, he declared basically, basically if you damage the American flag, you could face a year in jail. I mean, that is really, because he says there needs to be more integration, more patriotism. Do you think he's got a point?
Well, I think in America there is a great concern, like there is here, of a corrosion of national identity, of a large part of the elites, politically, and inside the civil service, who frankly hate the country. And I think we have that here too. We have that in many, many cases. I mean, you saw this at HMRC. You may have seen that news recently. This isn't a conspiracy theory. This is inside HMRC. Staff during the day were given the ability to go and spend time at taxpayer dime, going and doing a working session, a seminar on the guilt of being British. I mean, how insane is that? That is His Majesty's Revenue and Customs, taxpayer money being spent on time where people are spending doing that sort of thing. And we're seeing that across large parts of the civil service. So the reason why people are doing this, the reason why Operation Raise the Colours is having such an impact is because it is an act of defiance. It is an act of recognition, of pride in one's country.
But we do seem to spend an awful lot of time in this country apologising for slavery, for racism, for imperialism. I mean, hell, literally for being white some of the time. Well, I mean, we are a great country. Our flag is something we should be proud of.
And look, you know, the campaigns on white historic guilt, I think, are wrong. And, you know, the campaigns for reparations are, you know, I think the demand for reparations, if it was ever fulfilled, and it won't be, is about 30 times annual public spending in Britain. The idea that any government in this country is going to cede that amount of reparations is wholly wrong. And you have to, when you look at the past, you actually do have to be self-critical and sort the good from the bad. But the idea that you're ashamed of it, that you dispute it, I think is wholly wrong. And I think people do have a right to have not nationalist, but patriotic pride in their country.
So we agree on that, but it's Labour's Foreign Secretary, David Lammy. There's been no more prominent a voice advocating for reparations than David Lammy over the years, who is now the Foreign Secretary. So you disagree firmly with him, do you?
Give me one statement David has made since he's been Foreign Secretary supporting the call for reparations.
That doesn't mean he doesn't believe it. That doesn't mean he doesn't believe it. But I will say this: the whole genesis and foundation of the horrendous Chagos deal is absolutely based on this idea of guilt. The fact that we have ceded sovereign territory, and we're going to pay tens of billions, probably closer to 100 billion, adjusted for inflation over the next 99 years, to lease it back, is because of a judgment from a foreign court with no enforceability. And there is no doubt, if you look at the academic literature that preceded all of that stuff, that it is based around this concept of guilt. And while David Lammy may not have talked about reparations since he became Foreign Secretary, he has talked a number of times about his political career, probably more so than anyone in British politics at a senior level about reparations.
I'm a former Foreign Office Minister who had responsibility for the Chagos Islands.
So you're going to apologise for that?
No, nobody has lived in the Chagos Islands for about 50 years. the reason that we cut the deal was that there was a massive risk that we wouldn't be able to secure the base in Diego Garcia. That's why we struck that deal. That's why President Trump supported us in striking that deal. And the idea that
President Trump supported us doing the deal because we're paying for it. British taxpayers are paying for it.
And it's a good deal to secure a major base that is in our national interests.
Right, OK. Well, we'll leave that one there because we have run out of time, unfortunately. Let me know what you think about that one. We did wander off topic a bit there, but, I mean, patriotism, the flags, why are we so ashamed of our country's flag? Let me know what you're thinking on that one at gbnews.com/you'll say.